Hi, welcome back. How's the weekend? So today I'm going to talk a little bit about one of this game which actually I have recently got hold of and actually has been playing quite a bit. I really enjoy this, so I have not really covered a lot of games in very deep depth, so I guess maybe this is like the first time, but I'm going to talk about this War of Mine, the board game. With both the expansion, there's quite a lot of things that I'd like to talk about this game, but you might sound like just random babbling. I'll try to cover as much as possible in case you are really new to this game. And about some of the history, the Kickstarter, the retail, and all that. So let's just start. I'm going to put away the 2 expansion first, so that I talk a little bit about. Talk a little bit about the main board game first. So this is the main box. I'm going to show you a little bit on how I store it, but I'm just going to cover this back a bit so you can see that there is it's not fully covered because of the way I decided to store it. I didn't manage to find the E-Raptor storage, and as such, the way I store it, there's a little bit of bulge out. The board is superly humongous, so think of this as one out of the 6 pieces, so this unfold to 6 times of this. Okay, there's a lot of things in this game, so I'll run through some of the components before I talk a little bit about the game itself. So mainly you have the journal. The journal basically is like the rule book. It's cover all the basics. In fact, a very nice things about this rule book is that you don't really read it end to end. You start playing the game and you run through one gameplay review with all the various days, so you can see that you talk a little bit about the different phrases, scavenging, and then it talks about night raid and things like that. So it guides you through one gameplay and you learn as you play, which is actually pretty good. I think I've not seen a lot of rule books like this, and this is really something very unique. This is the super thick book of scripts. So basically you can see that there are some numbers, and in the game you'll be asked to read some of the stories, and you read through some of this. Then there's some of them you just read through, and then some effects, and then some of them you actually have choices which leads to more part of the script. So this is where all the thematic stories and things that happens in the game that really puts the immersion of this game in. And there's actually this 2 scenarios, separate scenarios from the main game. So in the main game, it will take about 10 days, but if you're playing the scenarios, it's slightly less. The setup basically is about 5 to 7 days, depending on which scenario you play. There's Endless Night and there's the Last Day. So far, I've quite enjoyed it, and the setup is actually pretty easy. So this gives you a shorter day, and a shorter game, but it's still just as fun. And there's a lot already pre-set up, and as you can see, some of them even have some pre-set up fixture. So you have some starting fixture. Yeah, you can choose from 5 basic and 2 advanced, and that really give you some kickstart. I printed some extra sheets, both basic and advanced, for the save game in case I need to save in between. So this is the part where I custom. So I have this custom tray. I'm going to take this out and show you my custom tray. So my custom tray comes in multi-layer, which is why my box is a bit thick. Because if you look at the box itself, basically you can keep all your cards easily fitting, and then you can keep all the tokens here, but all the tokens are in the mess if you were to put it this way. Only very few tokens I have that's mixed. This is like all the combats, random encounters. So these are dry tubes. If you watch my video before, you notice I use this a lot. So this kind of absorb the moisture in the game, keeping them away from mold. So if you're going to not use the tray I use, all your tokens are going to be like small zip bags, and they'll just go below this. And this actually fits perfectly in the whole box, and you have everything in, and then it fits all the way in. But because there's a huge amount of token in this game, it's actually pretty tedious to tear down and set up. I find that, you know, when you want to play the game quick. So my solution is this. I have organized them in this multi-layer tray. So basically, if you were to buy this, it comes in a tray and a lid. So you get one of this lid that goes into one of this tray. And what I did is that instead of having lids and tray, I actually stacked the three layers of tray together and only have one lid for it to save space. How I organize them? So like I have the yellow, you look at all the yellow one on my left side, the yellow items, and then followed by the green items, followed by user marker. This is for marking the noise as well as the objective. So this is one advantage, is that you very easily you take this out, you start playing. And it also helps you in the sense that if you have everything in a mess, then in certain situation or scenario where you might be gaining to try and get certain items, knowing the location can give you special items. It will help if you know how many items are there in the game. So this is like, for example, if there's only 300% alcohol, right, and you realize that this place actually has one of this 100% alcohol as one of the special item, and you already have two of them. So it only means that the best you could get out of it is you could get the last one, and so that really kind of provide another additional strategy layer. So having to know how many items are there in the actual world or in the game itself helps you strategize on what you should aim for. And you know, it doesn't really make sense if you already have all the 3 herbs here and then you're still trying to, you know, go for herbs on another place where, and actually you couldn't get any more because there's only 3 of them in this game. Yeah. So this is layer 1. Layer 2, I have all the damage marker, and this is really nice in the sense that it's all splitted this way. So I have misery 1 and 2 here, and then I have misery 3 and 4 here. So just pick the one up and put it on your character sheets. So they are all splitted in the various characteristic, wounds, hungers, and I have all the grey items here from, you know, books. There's only 3 of them, pick locks and stuff like that. Then I have one more layer below. The last layer will be all the red items, the guns, the half broken guns, ammo, as well as the water components and wood, as well as the, I think this is used for story markers, the A to I. So I try to like split them up as much as possible. Anyway, I don't think I can condense it into 2 trays, so 3 trays is the way to go. So this is how I actually stored it. As you can see, because of this and the board and everything, is going to bulge out a little bit. But I guess I can live with it for, you know, because I could get the game up quick and fast. I have one more small box which I use to store all the cold tokens, the weight tokens, as well as the board up token, as well as the 4 dice. So this, I think, is easy to sort out. I'll just leave it in one box here. Okay, so this is how my setup for the first base game box is when I put everything in. Actually, it's mainly the script book that's really very thick, you know, as you can see. Yeah, that really like brings up the thickness of everything. So as I'm packing this bag, let me talk a little bit about this game and some of the, I don't know whether you call it drama, but I was actually offered the chance to buy the Kickstarter version from secondhand from someone else who actually bought bidded, I think, pledged during Kickstarter and got the Kickstarter edition of this War of Mine, the board game. And together with his sales, or I mean his item for sale, he actually had Tales from the Ruined City, which is actually the first expansion. So there's a little bit of problem there, because apparently the Tales from the Ruined City is, as you can see, this is published by Galakta, and so is my retail version. So my retail versions are all published by Galakta, not by Awaken Realms. So what happened was, for this when this expansion first came out, it has actually some additional items which includes some of the items that actually came from the Kickstarter. And because of that, it has more things than the Kickstarter. It has refined items from the Kickstarter and a bit of more balancing. And because of that, this is incompatible with the original Kickstarter board game from Awaken Realms. So that's the problem. And because of that, I think quite a lot of people are upset, and Galakta actually works with Awaken Realms to resolve this many years ago. This was many years ago, by the way, that they many as in like 2 or 3 years ago, I think. And they actually managed to resolve it in the end by actually having this so-called upgrade kit. So the upgrade kit actually will nicely add the items from Tales from the Ruined City to the base game for a small price. I think it's around maybe about 10 USD. I think you can still buy it from GameFound today. Yeah, the last I checked, you can still buy it. So what I had opted to do instead was to resolve and to actually escape all the incompatibility issues. I thought I might as well just go for retail on both. So of course I'm missing some stuff. Yep. Maybe I'll talk a little bit about what I'm missing later, right at the end, and then I'll talk a little bit of what's available here. So in Tales of Ruined City, basically he added some stuff. So he added the 13th character. This is also in the Kickstarter. He added the cat, which actually is a nice addition to all your normal humans. Added the Desperate Measure cards, which actually this is actually when some things happen and then looks, you say nothing is for free and choice. It becomes available once one of your character die or abandon the group. So this is like additional cards that actually enhance the game when you really comes to that kind of a bad situation. There's some additional stuff like in the incidents. Farmers and markets is something really new also. So this actually allows you to buy stuff with this market, and then there are also farmers which actually are mixed with some hooligans, I guess. So there's a little bit of risk, but there's also some chances to actually do trading. This is actually, I think, available in the original Kickstarter as well. And one more thing is added is the sewers. So sewers is actually it's actually some tiles that actually allows you to have additional adventures, and where you can go underground into the sewers to do your scavenging, where you don't have to go above ground where there's a risk of snipers. But they also present their own risks, and there's some additional bots as well for that. So there's some secrets envelopes here where if you complete certain objective, you get to open up. I think inside this envelope, secret envelopes are additional cards, which actually helps to enhance the game more, giving you a bit of easier life. So yeah, so they are thugs, not hooligans, but there are some figurines for this as well. So there are some additional game components like some objective and stuff like that. And basically in this game you have some more scenarios. So you can see there's a lot more scenarios, which actually I think the scenarios are really nice because each of the scenarios are quite different. They present the game in a very different way to win, and then there's different objectives and things like that. So you will also see there's some change in rules and stuff. Basically, I think this is a worthy add-on, especially if you buy the retail version. There's also a wartime diary for this, so there's I think quite some. I don't know how much. So they have some alphabets. I think maybe about a few hundred, I guess, because I can see that there are 100 plus. So these are the secret envelopes. I haven't actually cleared any of them to open this, so we shall wait until we come to that day. So I have already organized some of these items into the original game. So all these items that's here, I have packed them according to the different scenario they are used for. So all these are the scenario only items which is not used in the base game. Like for example, Blood in the Snow will contain all the icons, the tokens, as well as the card for Blood in the Snow and so on. And as well as all these are not normal character cards. They are used for you and me, and so on. So all this, I packed them according to the scenarios. I also so that they'll be ready if I want to play the scenarios right out of the box. I'll just take whichever pack that's used for. I will just use that. And so this is like the first expansion. I think it's a good thing that Galakta has done, enhancing an already released game on Kickstarter by bringing it even further by adding additional contents for people who have bought the retail. But I think it caused some people to be upset, especially people from the original Kickstarter. But if it makes the game better, just think of it as it's not for the greater good. And I guess I benefited from it by buying the retail in the end. So first, I'll talk about the second expansion here. So second expansion is the Days of the Siege. Days of the Siege is a very new expansion. I think it's about 2020. It has a much thicker diary, as you can see here. I think it's this, you can really tell, is over 500. Maybe I don't know if it reached 1,000. Maybe close to 1,000 of this. Maybe 800 or so entries. And this actually added brand new stuff, not in the Kickstarter. So there is no upgrade packs from the Kickstarter to this. You go straight by getting this for the game to add to your Kickstarter if you want to. But there are also some repeats as well. So Orphans of War is actually part of the Kickstarter. And there are some optional game components that are based new locations. The dog, I think, is in the Kickstarter as well. So now you don't just have a cat, you also have a dog. And there's a city map now that you can visit places very much like in the game, I think. That I was told. I didn't really play the game myself. So you have a map rather than just 3 locations to make the thing more realistic. So there is a long campaign called Forlorn Hope, which runs for, I think, part 1, part 2, I think. Yeah. And then there are new additional stuff. But basically, this add-on mainly adds the campaign, Fallen War. Yep. And I think, this is the war campaign. So there's actually some additional components, and you use the map and so on. Yep. So I'll put away this one side. As you can see, there's some additional tokens that's introduced in here, like favors, media coverage, ruins. All these are new, but these are all used only in the war campaign. So they are like sheltered, they are exploration tokens, North Bridge tokens, Fury token. This I have not seen. I have not really played this also. So there's an additional board, as you can see, it's for the map. There's also so the war campaign is split into Act 1 and 2, but they are split into either A or B and so on. So it depends on how some of the stuff actually happens. So you might have to branch out into either 2A and 2B, and there's even 3A and 3B and so on. So this is a very interesting concept, and then mainly in this box is for the war campaign. Also, I've actually left all the campaign stuff inside here. So you have the characters only used for the campaign, and special location only used for the campaign. So this is like the orphans. This is the special event cards that's been used for the campaign as well, I think. Yep. And there's like soldier patrol, all this. So all these are not used in the base game. So new figurines. So maybe I can find the dog here. Let me see. Yep, here it is. Nope, that's the orphan actually. My bad. The dog's actually supposed to be very small because all these are to scale. I think what happened was I already kept the dog with my original game because I decided to bring the cat and dog in because they are available to the rest of the base game as well, as part of it's just additional cards, and so they are not really only for the campaign. So I originally kept it in the original box. So this is all the 3 boxes here. So I'll talk a little bit about what else they add to this game. I printed out some stuff. So I printed out downside of my inject. So what I have is I have this quick start not really quick start, but it guides you through all the various steps and tells you what to do. This is done very nicely from a member from Boardgame Geek. So I printed it out. It also has a very, very nice background, like, you know, burnt paper or this. If only I could have printed this on borderless, it would be very nice. And then I printed out a summary for all the fittings, because this is you know, one glance you can tell what's available in the advanced, what's available in the standard. So this is also a journal. I printed a spare copy of it. So because I could just quickly refer to the combat and things like that. And I have this sheet, which actually is the hidden rules. So hidden rules are actually some of the rules you will find inside the journal as you run through, but some of them are really like, you know, nice. So for example, like alcohol consumption at any time. I mean, this is a like good rule to have. So I already added this in. Or, you know, we have some things like for example, eat at any time, for example, yeah, or, you know, eating even your cats and dogs, which is rather grim though, but, you know, this is highly possible. And then so all these rules are, you know, like from the advanced part of it, and then I printed it out if I want to use it in the game. This is the journal reference, which is actually pretty similar to you know, the summary, but this is not 1 page but 3 page. And then but actually let me just skip all the way to the end, because what is really very important is that I have this. So this is actually because there's this one item which is totally outsold and, you know, totally crazy, paying about $100 for it. There is something called a rubber dice. It's not even included as part of the Kickstarter, but it's an optional buy in the Kickstarter. So it has dice that looks like a pile of rubber lumped together, and it has the different faces from A to J, but they are not in correct proportion. I mean, they are not in the same proportion, and you can see you know, the proportion is something about from 4 to 16. So someone very nicely has already calculated all the odds, you know, and so that we can replace it with for example 2d10, 1d20 or d24, so that we could use a separate dice, and then, you know, based on the result we could double check and then see, you know, which, let's say if I roll, like for example 66 on the 2d10, and then I can check. So that is actually a tiny so it should be lying on D. And I had a photograph of the actual dice result. So, you know, there's a card, so on D you will actually get a further exploration, so it adds 6 exploration card on this. So this adds the very nice thing to, like, you know, at the end of the salvaging from the various location, you actually could have a chance that, you know, you could do more. But of course, there's also a very, very small and bad chance that, you know, one of your character could just die because there's a headshot. You know, if you land on I don't know if I is a 4% chance. I have not actually had that happen to me yet. So it adds to you know, a depth, but, you know, the dice is very expensive, or rather, you probably can't even find it nowadays. Nobody's willing to let go of his dice. Okay, so by the way, this play map is not for this war of mine. I have ordered the play map and it's not here yet, so I'm just playing with the board for now. So after introducing you about the game, I think you can see all the gameplay in other people's video. There's a lot of other videos out there on YouTube, and I think there's even some playthroughs that run through everything. But in a gist, this war of mine is a very unique game in the sense that you don't really play super humans, you know, or, you know, even soldiers. You're just normal civilians in a very bad time when war broke out. And the only thing you're trying to do is, you know, you're not even trying to, like, stop the war, you know, or save your country or things like that. You are trying to survive. That's all. Every day you end up having to, you know, go find ways to get food, get water, so that you don't go hungry or thirsty. And you have to, you know, get supplies so that, you know, you can fix up your house so that you don't get sick because of cold, or you actually, you know, have to defend yourself and, you know, build makeshift weapon with, like, maybe some gun, hatchets, so that, you know, in case people come raid your house. So basically, in the gist, that's what happening, and it runs in a couple of days. So it depends on the different scenario you play. It range for about 5 to 10 days before the war will end. in one way or another. Sometimes it's a bit more tough. And then you end up having a lot of stories on the way. So as you explore places, you will read from a journal, and then sometimes there are things that happen. So for example, one of the scenario I recall something like, you have to go to a place, and then you realize that a bunch of children were fighting over chocolate, and the mom is kind of like sick on the bed, and they didn't notice you. So you could choose to sneak into their kitchen and then steal all their food, or you could just leave them alone. So there's a lot of choices about moral, and all the choices have consequences. The way this game is designed very well is that, firstly, you will, if you decided to raid their food, then there's a chance that this family could starve and die, and then that is actually on your conscience, and there's a chance that you could accumulate miseries because you did that. Okay, and also if you don't do it, then you just waste opportunity to get some food, and you may end up have to starve or thirst because of that. So there's a lot of decision that is very interesting in this game. It's not a very happy game. I wouldn't call this a party game, definitely not. But it's good for a quiet night. I so far has been playing this solo. I pretty enjoy this solo. There's a lot of deep story, deep decision, and some of this decision really even makes you thinking after the game. If you really have such a situation in real life, what would you have done? So this game is brutal, and actually in one of my gameplay, I think I lost a character. Sorry, I think in both my gameplay. Yeah, in both my gameplay, I lost at least one character, one way or another. In fact, the second gameplay was a bit bad. I actually had a character that was defending the house, and he was even an elite character. And then I think he's Roman. And then what happened was, some very, very armed thug came, and then he suffered like 3 wounds right in the first round, trying to defend the house. And on the second day, immediately I get a fake card. The fake card actually said that if you have wound, it doesn't heal, and then it with no bandage, it gets even worse, and then you add 1 more wound. So immediately he got 4 wounds on the second day, and he died. So that was real sad, but it's part of the game. So I think it's not always about winning. Even if you do not win the game, I think you quite enjoy the whole journey through, the struggle, how to survive. And even after winning, I must say not all the characters have no great endings. Some of them not so great as others. It all depends on how much misery you accumulate right at the end. So this is the retail version of the War of Mine. So what are you missing in this version compared to the Kickstarter? So in the Kickstarter version, there's a few things. I think there's also quite a lot of threads on Boardgame Geek that talk about this. But I'll just mention what I recall. So there's a tactic part of the games where instead of encountering people and rolling dice based on your weapon, there's some tactical movement, I think, or something along that way to actually fight out a combat. I don't really appreciate that because one thing was, I think that the combat should be made simple enough. It's not the main part of the game. The main part of the game is the exploration, is the story. So I really want to just get over one small encounter quickly, decide who gets damaged, who died, and things like that. So I guess I'm okay with the base game not having that. Second thing is there is actually something called, I think, the heart of the city or something along that line, where actually there's some part of the town, actually in the heart of the city, there's actually some trading that's being set up, like a bazaar market or something like that. And you can actually visit that, and there are some stories around it. There's an opportunity to trade, buy stuff. So that is probably something that I want, but I probably couldn't find it because it's a Kickstarter. And let me think, what else am I missing? Okay, the rubber dice is also one thing, but the rubber dice is, strictly speaking, is optional buy. I really like the rubber dice, but I couldn't get a hold of it. So the next best thing is to have use other dice to simulate it, but it's obviously not as good as you can tell. And then let me think, what else? Where am I missing? I think mainly that's about it. Yes, there's this. So there are other stuff that are actually not even in the Kickstarter. So there's this thing called a TV promo. It consists of, I think, 5 or 6 cards where there's you can build a television. the television the characters can actually go visit the television, and then based on the cards you can actually you know, like, I think the best outcome is actually you remove one of the event cards from the day, so actually, you know, that means that you're 1 day shorter in your whole game. But I think other than that, the main of it is that you hear news about a war, you hear, you know, like bad news, and it causes misery and things like that. So a lot of people are saying that they'd rather not add that to the game. So it's then entirely optional. You can take a look at the card. I think someone posted it on Boardgame Geek as well. There's some picture of the cards. So it may or may not be for you. I think I'm okay without it. So mainly I'm just missing the Heart of the City, which actually I think would be nice. But other than that, the rest, like the sewers, the farmers, everything are all included if you were to, like, you know, buy all the retail version of it. And in fact, you actually get a more balanced games, I think. Let me see if I miss out anything. I think that's about it. I can't really, you know, like, think of anything offhand. I think there may be some additional small components, which actually I think is not really critical to the game. I think there are, like, you know, things like the furnitures, furniture, miniatures, and things like that, which of course I think is good to have, but not entirely necessary. So I think that's about it. Today I'm just going to talk about this game, which I like a lot. I think I may be thinking, like, you know, I might sound like I'm selling it, but actually I'm not. I am not you know, sponsored by Galakta or, you know, Awaken Rams or, you know, anybody, but it's just, you know, something that I really enjoyed recently a lot. I have only gotten this recently, and I think you can tell this game is actually pretty old. Most of the videos that talk about this game is probably about at least a year or two ago. I hope they will still come up with more expansion for it, because I think there's a lot of potential with this game. But other than that, maybe the next time you hear me talk about this is when my game map arrive. But other than that, thank you, and I hope to see you around soon, enjoying board gaming.